skeletal muscles have a nervous system supply. And that is all we mean when we talk about innervation. As soon as you see innervation, think nervous system. Okay, think nervous system. Nerve goes down to an effector, causes a response. Easy. Well, we just found out that all those contractile proteins are actually the myofilaments. The myofilaments are found within a myofibril, which comprise a muscle fiber. That nerve enters into a muscle belly and branches a lot within the perimysium. And it's those small little branches that go in there and supply all of these various different muscle fibers. As you can kind of see from this somatic motor nerve here, you have a nerve coming into the muscle belly, and as you can see, it's branching a whole bunch of times. And they've color coded it here. Okay. The motor neuron and the muscle fibers it controls are referred to as a motor unit. A motor unit is the motor neuron and the muscle fibers that it controls. As you can kind of see here, as that nerve kind of comes in, it goes and supplies. I have one motor unit supplying some muscle fibers, and you can see I have another motor neuron coming in there, branching. I have another branch, and it goes to actually a couple different ones. Weird. And we see this phenomena in every single muscle. How much do we see this? Depends. Muscles that produce a lot of very big, violent movements, and we see it differently in muscles that produce very fine, minute movements. Examples, your back muscles, okay? Your biceps, okay? These are big movements that I can do. Very quick, very violent even. Compare that to my eye muscles, okay? And that was a violent movement, right? Move my eyeball to the side, really violent, right? But that didn't generate a whole hell of a lot of force. I can't hook up a pen and say I just take a big old clip and clip it into my eye muscles, and I can't sit there and move my eye and move weight around. I can't generate a whole hell of a lot of force. Why is that? Why can that not generate a whole hell of a lot of force, but my bicep can't comparatively? It goes into how many muscle fibers I activate at a given time, which is to go to the motor unit. A motor unit is the motor neuron and all the muscle fibers it controls. We have some, as you can kind of see here, we have one, two, three. We have a 4 motor neuron unit, a motor unit, and a 2 muscle fiber motor unit. Okay, so we can have them be big or we can have them be small. And this is, a very simplistic explanation or example, I guess I should say. But we have some motor neurons or some motor units that can go and supply literally hundreds or thousands of muscle fibers. One little motor axon going in and supplying 1,000 muscle fibers. If I was to send electricity down that one and I engaged 1,000 muscle fibers, do we see where that can generate a huge amount of force? Does everybody see that? Can everybody visualize that? If I engage 1,000 muscle fibers, does that sound like it would generate a whole hell of a lot of force? Thank you, Ann. Okay. Comparably to a small motor unit. If I have very few fibers, like 5, and you see 1,000 muscle fibers per unit in your calf muscles, in the gastrocnemius and the soleus. Small motor unit, 5 muscle fibers. I've seen some books discuss it as 2 muscle fibers per motor axon. That's super duper precise, and you see that in the eyeball. You have a smaller motor unit in the hand. Compare that to the back or to your calf. Okay? Maybe 100 or so, or 50 or so, but it ain't 1,000. So when we have these smaller motor units and I'm engaging fewer and fewer numbers of fibers, I can get very precise control. Okay? I can be very precise with how I move my eyeball within the visual field. I can say, you could ask me to move at 1 degree and I can do that. You could ask me to move at 20 degrees. I can do that. If I said move 1 degree into plantar flexion, I don't really know if I can. I mean, okay, I'm engaged. I've had to engage several hundred of them just to get my fat butt up into plantar flexion. So it's not very precise. This is going to dovetail with something fantastically that we'll talk about in the human brain. These areas that have a lot of precise control have a lot of real estate carved out for them. Okay? These areas that produce a whole bunch of force, but not a lot of precise movement, they don't have as much real estate carved out in the brain. So that means I don't have a specific motor neuron up there going down and talking to that individual muscle fiber or that group of muscle fibers, 2, 5, compared to this guy having to talk to 1,000. I don't need a whole lot of nerve cell bodies up there. Okay, I have 20,000 fibers in it. I just need 20 or so nerve cell bodies. It's not a whole hell of a lot. I don't need a lot of real estate. Right? So this concept of motor unit, we'll be able to weave some stuff in and out with the nervous system here as we trudge on forward here. So we have small motor units and we have large motor units. Large motor units, not precise, very large force, explosive type movements. Small motor units, very few fibers, precise control, which means not very explosive force producing movements. When it comes for you right now, all of you are holding your head up. Fantastic. You're awesome. Muscles are engaging. Okay. Right now, my neck muscles are holding my head up. All right. Am I telling my muscles to contract? No. If I told my neck muscles to contract, okay, there you go. There we go. Okay. Or my extensions back here, boom, they're contracting back there. So right now, my muscles in my neck are not contracting, not moving. Muscles aren't contracting, but they are contracted. Right? To maintain posture, I have to have some of these motor units being stimulated to contract, not enough to produce movement. Okay. Movement. Okay. Right now, my neck's not moving. My head's not moving. Now it's moving. I've engaged enough motor fibers, I've engaged enough motor units to engage enough muscle fibers to do this or this. But as I stand right here and not move, some muscle fibers are being stimulated to contract, even though it's not producing contraction, movement, because I'm only stimulating a few fibers. When does this go on? All the time. Right now, all of you are sitting here, you're sitting up. You're engaged. All of these muscle fibers are being engaged. They're being stimulated all the time. Whether or not they move, totally different concept. But it's all based on the number of motor units, which means how many muscle fibers do I engage. You have to engage a significant amount to get movement to occur. We'll get to these last couple slides, and I'll take a little bit of a break. To get a muscle fiber supplied with a nerve, I have to take that electricity component, that nervous system component, and I have to somehow get it to connect with the muscular system. In comes my neuromuscular junction. Okay. The neuromuscular junction is the meeting between the nervous system and the muscular system. Pretty easy. When we look at that, there are 5 kind of components associated with this neuromuscular junction. First one is a synaptic knob. I'll draw a picture right here because I love to draw. Okay, so this right here is an expanded end of this motor neuron. Remember, axons always lead away from the nerve cell body. So this is the expanded end of the somatic motor axon. That is the synaptic knob. One synaptic knob. In the synaptic knob, are vesicles filled with neurotransmitters. Here in the muscular system, the skeletal muscular system, it is acetylcholine. Along the length of the axon, we have some voltage-gated channels that we'll talk about later. But right here, I have some calcium voltage-gated channels. As electricity is running down this axon, it's going to tickle those and they're going to open. And as you can probably guess right now, if I open a calcium voltage-gated channel, calcium will enter it. Calcium flows in. And some magic's going to happen here in a little bit. We'll see. The fourth part we have is a small little space, and that is called the synaptic cleft. In the grand scheme of things, it's a very small fluid-filled space. There's also some adhesion molecules there. They're called CAM molecules. They actually help to hold the neuron, the somatic motor neuron, in place here. So there's a little bit more that goes into it. But for us right now, it's a synaptic cleft. And it's a small little space that exists between the synaptic knob and the muscle fiber itself. It does have some enzymes that live within it called acetylcholinesterase. We'll talk about it later. Then, and I'm going to double up here, make it thicker. Okay. We have this region right here. And this is the motor end plate. That's my fifth component. It is a specialized portion of the sarcolemma. That's it. Why is it specialized? It's specialized because it has a high number of receptors for acetylcholine right there. Okay. And we're going to have some magic happen there. Well, there's magic all over the damn place here, really. Okay. But this is one of the steps involved with nerve impulse conduction to get a muscle to contract. Synaptic knob filled with synaptic vesicles. Little space exhibits between the synaptic knob and the skeletal muscle. The synapse, where the axon or the synaptic knob comes in relatively close proximity to that sarcolemma, is referred to as the motor implant. And all it is a specialized region of the sarcolemma. Why is it specialized? Because it has receptors for acetylcholine on it. You don't see those receptors anywhere else along the sarcolemma. You just find them here. Here's a better drawing, I guess. Here's that synaptic knob filled with synaptic vesicles. If I get really close, there's my synaptic vesicle filled with acetylcholine. There's my voltage-gated calcium pumps right there. Okay, so as the electricity is running down this thing, it opens up, calcium rushes in. And that's what's going to get this magic to happen here. So acetylcholine gets dumped out, travels across this synapse, and binds to receptors on the motor implant. This is awesome. This is fun stuff. This is really fun. I'm enjoying this right now. As you can kind of see, motor neurons, they usually kind of, end up mid-region, but we'll talk as to how electricity flows across and why that's significant a little bit later.